Welcome to your ProCare Garage Door Safety Guide and Care Guide. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited that you've decided to care for your garage. It's one of the most important things that you can do in order to increase the lifespan of all the moving parts that exist with your garage door. The single biggest reason that most garage doors fail is because of lack of maintenance. So the fact that you've started to take this seriously is a big deal. We truly appreciate it, and I think that you're going to get a lot out of it. Garage doors can be incredibly dangerous. If you think about it, the springs that hold your garage doors up hold hundreds of pounds of torque. So if at any point during the care and maintenance of your garage door you feel unsafe or unsure of yourself, please stop and call us. That is very, very important. This guide is not meant to be a maintenance guide. It is meant to be a home care guide. This does not replace regular maintenance that you would get from a professional garage door tech. So at any point, if you feel unsafe or unsure, please stop what you are doing and give us a call. If you arrived at this video because you purchased our home care kit, you'll notice that in that kit there are a few essential pieces for ensuring that your garage door is cared for on a regular basis. Within the kit itself, you'll see that the first item is a bottle of 3-in-1 garage door lubricant. Now, this is very important because this is not the same as every other lubricant. This is a silicone-based lubricant. Why is that important? If you use just any old lubricant on your garage door, it creates a bit of a gunky mess, and it often creates more issues than if you hadn't done anything at all. So the lubricant that you use is critically important. So that's why we've sent you what we prefer whenever we maintain garage doors. It's very, very good product. It's the first product that we're going to be going through, and it's the first product that you'll learn how to use properly. The other products that are included seem fairly straightforward, but using them correctly is the key. You'll also have a shop cloth, a very high-end shop cloth that you will use to wipe down all moving pieces as well as the rails of your garage door to ensure that they roll smoothly throughout the entire process. We're also including a guide. So just in case you can't find this video later on, we've got a written out guide to ensure that you can follow it on a regular basis. Now, as with any kind of home care, you want to make sure that you're doing this home care on a regular basis. What does that mean? It means about twice a year. If you can do this about twice a year, you're going to really extend the life of your garage door. Now, when a lot of people hear that and they hear that a garage door maintenance and service company is telling people to increase the life of their door, you may think to yourself, wow, this guy sounds like he's kind of shooting himself in the foot because he's reducing the amount of service calls that they might get. Well, we want to make sure that you are first taken care of. Our business is taking care of homeowners, and the easiest way to take care of homeowners is to show them how to take care of themselves. So the first thing that we want you to do is recognize that this is made for the benefit of whomever is watching it so that you can increase the life of your door. So the first thing you want to do before you get started is ensure that your garage door is free of all your cars. So get the car out of the garage, make sure you've cleared away all the pets and the kids, make sure everything is clear so that you have a space to work. Get yourself a ladder and make sure that that ladder is sturdy. We prefer at least 3 steps on a step ladder that you have. Try not to use the 2-step ladder. It's not stable enough. We want to try and maintain multiple points of contact whenever we are going up and down the ladder. So something with 3 or 4 steps should be sufficient, obviously depending on how tall you are. But grab your ladder and set that up right in the center of the garage. Set your ladder up right below where the garage door opener is plugged in. Now, this is very important that your garage is unplugged during whatever inspection you do. So I've got my feet on there, my hand on the railing, and I'm going to unplug the garage door opener. This is incredibly important because we don't want any moving pieces while we are inspecting and cleaning any of the rails. If you got our home care kit, make sure you put on the provided gloves. Garage doors can get pretty grimy and pretty gross, so we want to make sure that your hands are at least somewhat protected from some of the stuff that we're going to be putting on the garage door and taking off the garage door. So make sure you put on those gloves, and then we'll walk you through the rest of this guide. All right, so the first part of doing this safety and care guide is the balance test of the garage door. The balance test essentially shows whether or not your torsion springs are tight enough to be able to hold the garage door up properly without slamming down shut, or to ensure that it's not wound too tightly so that it shoots up during the entire process. This is absolutely critical because the last thing that we want is for something that weighs hundreds of pounds to fall down on a car, or worse, a person or an animal. We also don't want it to shoot up. That creates injuries as well, and sometimes damage. The first thing that you want to do whenever you do a balance test, after you have unplugged the garage door opener, is to pull on the emergency cord to make sure that it disconnects from the track of the opener, and you will hear a click when that happens. That click will tell you that it has disconnected from the center track that opens up the door. Next part of our balance test requires us to lift up the garage door, and we're going to lift it up to about halfway. When we lift it up to halfway, the goal is to see whether or not it balances at that point, hence the name balance test. It shouldn't shoot up and it shouldn't fall down when we let it go. Now, what's very, very important, if you've never done home care on your garage and you're unsure of where the tension is on your springs, whenever you are lifting up the garage door, it may not necessarily be supported that much by the springs because your springs may have lost tension because of slipping or because of age. So recognize that you are lifting something very heavy. If it is too heavy to lift, please call us and we will come and help you. Recognize that this is hundreds of pounds. So if it feels too heavy to lift, please stop, give us a call, and we'll come and help you. But here's how the balance test should go. So you want to, whatever you're lifting, you want to make sure that you're always lifting with your legs and not your back. Try and maintain a straight back whenever you're doing it. No twisting, jerking movements. Think of doing a deadlift in the gym or something like that. You're going to lower yourself down into a squat position. Make sure that you're not jerking up or anything like that. Lift the door slowly and lift that door up to about halfway. Now, when it hits about halfway or even a third of the way, release the door very slowly and step back from the door just so that you're protecting your feet. We don't want this to slam down on top of our toes. If it slams down on top of our toes, we're going to have a very bad day. So release the door very slowly, and the door should balance at about halfway. What this tells us is that the tension on the torsion springs is just about right. It's not falling all the way down. It's not sliding all the way up. It's perfectly balanced at the right spot. This door has passed the balance test. Once your door passes the balance test, you can safely lower the door all the way back down to the resting position at the bottom. If your door has failed the balance test and it is either shot all the way up or slammed shut, stop work immediately. Most likely your tension springs need a little bit of maintenance from an expert professional. So please make sure that you call us if your door has failed, or someone to come and help you with this sort of thing, because you can really hurt yourself if you try and adjust those springs on your own. Please never, ever, ever adjust the springs on your own. You do need a trained professional to do that because of the amount of force and torque that those springs hold. All right, now that you've done your balance test, the goal is to make sure that the garage door is operational and clips back into position. Now, I'm not tall enough to hit that, so I've got to get my ladder set up so that I can do that. I would recommend that you do the same. Remember, try and maintain always 3 points of contact whenever you're walking up a ladder or a step ladder. I'm going to clip that back into place, and that is going to slide now when I hit the opener to reconnect on that garage door. Now I'm going to take that same ladder and I'm going to reconnect my opener, test the opener, and then unplug it again because I just want to make sure that the door is operational. So I'm going to plug that back in. Now the door should open. You hear that click. Everything is reconnected. The door opens correctly. And we're going to push it all the way back down. The door has been connected. Now what we're going to do is we're going to unplug our opener again because we have more maintenance work to do. And I want to make sure that the garage door is not operational while I am doing that maintenance. The next part of our test is we're going to do a visual check of the springs. Now, we don't want to do a visual check of the springs unless we know for sure that the garage door opener is disconnected. So that last step where we unplug the garage door is very, very, very important. Because if the door opens while we're doing a check of the springs, the door is going to open, it's going to knock you off your ladder. You don't want that to happen. Now, this is a double garage door. There's 2 springs on either side of the center. We're going to check both of those when we go up. What we're looking for are rust or gaps or frays inside of the springs, and then we're going to go to the cables for frays. So set up your ladder in the appropriate spot, either side, wherever you want to start. Make sure that you're always maintaining those 3 points of contact whenever you go up. And it's just a visual inspection. I'll try to ensure that you're not super, super close to it. You just want to check it on the side. For additional safety, what you may even want to do is set up on the side of the garage door spring, just so that you are free of the garage door spring if it snaps and breaks. So for additional safety and extra precaution, if you would like, set up your ladder just to the side of where the spring sits. You can notice here that I'm set up to the side, and look for any kind of rust or gaps inside of this spring or on the spring itself. Now remember, these springs can hold hundreds of pounds of force and torque. If this thing snaps, it can be very, very dangerous. That's why we say never try and adjust your spring on your own. Please call a trained professional to help you with that if you notice anything that may need adjusting. Now, if you notice gaps or rust, call us. Most likely your spring needs to be replaced and or repaired. Again, we're looking for any rust or gaps inside of the springs. At this point, if you notice that there are no gaps or rust on the spring itself, do yourself a favor, grab the garage door lubricant that we provided to you. We're going to show you how to spray on that garage door lubricant to ensure that you maintain the life of that spring. Gloves are essential for this. The shop cloth that we sent you is essential for this, and the lubricant is essential for this. We'll show you how to do that next. All right, so now we're going to spray down our spring with our 3-in-1 garage door lubricant. Please don't use any other product than a specified garage door lubricant. That's very, very important because the lubricant helps a ton and the correct lubricant helps even more. Grab your gloves, make sure your gloves are on, make sure you've got a shop cloth or at least some towels that you might be able to pick up. Very, very important. This gets a little bit messy, so at any point in time, make sure that you're protecting the things around you, including your hands, and any kind of drips from the floor. You want to be fairly judicious with the spring, so we're going to spray on the top and on the bottom of the spring, and we're going to do both sides to make sure that we're lubricating that in. We're actually going to rub it in as well. Just for your own help, make sure that you're putting the cloth right underneath the spring, just so that it doesn't drip unnecessarily on top of your garage door, and you're going to be pretty judicious with that spray. So we're going to spray the top, and then we're going to spray the bottom. And then what we're going to do is we are going to rub that in, just to massage it in. Nothing too tight, just a light press in, because we want to make sure that that spring is fully coated with as much of that as we can muster. Then we're going to do the other side, so you can just repeat this process for both sides of your springs. Now that we've fully lubricated the garage door springs, we need to make sure that we are also checking everything else with the garage door, including the cables and the rollers and all that kind of stuff as well. We are going to make sure that whenever we spray anything down at the end of today's care guide, we want to make sure that we put our opener back in and test that to make sure that we're moving the lubricant through all of the different moving pieces, just to make sure that the lubricant's doing its job. So at the end of this, we're going to make sure that all that lubricant gets worked back into the system. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to the side of the garage door. Both sides, you will notice, have cables that run alongside your garage door. These cables help to roll up the garage door, and it's a big, big safety issue if these are frayed or split. So we are looking for splits or frays along the cable. This is just a visual check. You could even run your finger just along the side, just to see if you notice any kind of fraying that exists along the side of the cable. If you notice any fraying or splits in the cable on either side of your garage door, please stop what you're doing, call a professional, and get them to come and replace both cables on your garage door. Okay, the next part of your safety check is to see if your hinges and any of your rollers are cracked or broken or need repair. So we're going to inspect all of the hinges and all of the rollers to ensure that everything looks to be in working order. Now, this is a visual check. We also like to give this a little bit of a tug at each of these points to check if any of the bolts are loose in any of the hinges. You can see right here, for example, that this one is a little bit loose. So we're going to want to tighten that up just a little bit to make sure that it is fully operational. All of these should be fairly tight to the touch. If any of them are loose at any point in time, you want to make sure that you just tighten those up. All right, once we've done our visual check of all of the hinges and of the rollers themselves, we're going to lubricate those hinges and rollers. Very, very important that you do this along with your springs, because these are all moving parts and pieces of the garage door, and they all need regular lubrication. The next thing that you want to do as you're doing your home care on your garage door is you want to check the tracks and rails of the garage door. These tracks and rails can get gunked up with a lot of dirt that has landed over a period of time. If you've never done any home maintenance on your garage door, there's probably quite a bit of gunk that's trapped inside of these rails. And if you don't clear that out, then eventually what ends up happening is all of it builds up over time, and it leads to a shorter lifespan of the rollers that help lift up the garage door. So we want to make sure that whenever we're cleaning these tracks, we do a visual check of the track first to make sure that there's no big objects, no big clumps of dirt first. Then do yourself a favor, grab yourself a shop cloth or any kind of cloth that you have available, and wipe on the inside of the garage door track all the way up. Then grab your step ladder and go all the way along the top of the rail. We want to make sure that we're clearing out the track as best we can so that those garage door rollers roll as smoothly as possible. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, the next part of our safety check and our home care is to do a safety sensor check. In order to do that, I need to plug back the garage door opener again. And I'm going to check the safety sensors of the garage door to ensure that they are working correctly. All right, the safety sensors of your garage door are these little things on the side of the garage door. These project a light across the entryway of the door, and their purpose is to be there just in case anyone comes into the garage, or a vehicle comes into the garage, or a person comes into the garage. While the garage door is closing, it is meant to keep the garage door open so that it doesn't close on top of someone. We want to make sure that that safety sensor is working correctly so as to ensure that no one gets hurt, or an animal doesn't get hurt, or a vehicle doesn't get damaged. Make sure your garage door is all the way open and operational. Then we're going to hit the close button. Walk over to the garage door with a broomstick or something like that and just wave it in front of the safety sensor, and that should stop the garage door from closing. If it doesn't, that means that your garage door safety sensors are not working correctly and probably need to be checked or replaced. So if that doesn't work for you, please call a professional, get them to come in and check your safety sensors. The alignment might be off, or they might be broken and they might need to be replaced. Always leave your garage door closed when you've finished your safety and care of your garage door. Put away your tools and ladder, and you want to repeat this check every 6 months just to ensure that your garage door is operational and safe. We recommend the spring and the fall. Thanks so much for watching this home care guide. We really appreciate that you've taken home care of your garage doors seriously. But remember, garage doors can be very dangerous. So if you notice anything that feels broken, or has rust, or gaps, or the door feels too heavy, or the cables are frayed, or maybe the rollers don't sound right, they're too loud, or anything like that, or the garage door feels like it's straining, like you can hear the garage door straining, or the opener sounds off, please stop what you're doing and give a professional a call. It's very important that you take your safety seriously when it comes to garage doors, because bad things can happen really, really quickly, and we don't want that to happen to you. So at any point in time, if you feel unsafe or unsure, or something feels broken or looks broken or doesn't sound right, please give a professional a call. Again, thank you so much for watching, and have a phenomenal day.